Morning, it's day 60 and we are up early. We are first ones here at breakfast to make sure we get breakfast. It would be fine, but I woke up at 1 o'clock and stayed awake until 6, so I'm super tired now. Oh, there's loads of ants, where did we sat? But I did book our flight from Langkawi to Kuala Lumpur and our hotel in Langkawi, so I was productive last night. But look at the view. And after this, I'm gonna go back to sleep.
I have been working on my gripping technique, but now I need to work on the angle of dangle. Every time I line up a shot, I can see that I have a ridiculous double chin, and I'm really hoping that's the camera adding 10 pounds. And behind me, look, we have the top tower. It rises above the skyline, dwarfing everything else in its near vicinity, or maybe it's just the nearest one, hopefully, because we are planning to walk there later on today. It has a walkway, and it'll be great to see Georgetown from an aerial view, and perhaps wider Penang. I don't know if we'll see as far as Penang Hill. That's about 8 kilometers away. We were planning on going there, but I think Sarah's just too tired and she needs some rest, so we're gonna chill at the hotel. But it's somewhere that I definitely want to see. It's got an ancient rainforest there, so 600 million years old, I think, as opposed to the Brazilian rainforest, which is a mere baby at 150 million years old. And we find ourselves back at the Armenian Prestige Heritage Hotel, I think, and there's nothing prestigious about their breakfast. We've got here on opening, it's devoid of people again, and I think the word is out, it's not the place to come for breakfast. There's more out and it's fresher, I guess, but it's still a bag of balls.
I'm just swinging on one of these chairs just so I can digest my food, and then I'm going straight back to bed. My eyes are just not wanting to open. However, you do need to be quick in this hotel, so a family of 4 just came up after us, and like I said, we were first ones up and there isn't any more food left, so yeah, hopefully they replenish. If not, you snooze, you lose.
I like the sentiment, but to be honest, I think we're all alone, and I'm definitely alone at the minute. I'm going to go for a little bit of wander. It seems like a waste to just stay in the hotel. I feel fine, and the sun is mild at the minute. So yeah, I'm just going to pick a direction, have a wander, and yeah, see what I can find. So I've picked a direction that I haven't walked in yet. Where it will take me, I don't know. It looks like it's heading towards the big mall. Whether I'll stop in there, I don't know. If I can find something more exciting, maybe. Perhaps get off the beaten track a little bit. I don't know if that's going to be possible in Georgetown, though. It looks like people are out for breakfast at the minute. I think you've got to make use of these hours in the morning and the hours in the evening. It's so much more pleasant being about at this time of day. One thing I have noticed in terms of the difference from Thailand, it does seem that there aren't as many impromptu stalls just knocking around and street sellers. There are street sellers, but they seem to be in designated areas, and there's definitely more order to it. It doesn't have the feel that you can just pitch up your stall and start selling. And that got me thinking, perhaps this is a way that kind of stops, it gives people a way to survive. And without that, maybe this is perhaps the cause for the homelessness here and the inability for people to fend for themselves and have to literally go around begging table to table. I don't know, just a thought. behind me is another one of those nondescript malls. I may save going to see that for when I'm with Sarah, perhaps later on the way to the top tower. But I found myself at the Urban Archaeological Park. I don't know what it's like, I've just stumbled across it. It's opposite the mall, so I'm going to have a walk through, and I've just navigated across that intersection, and I don't know whether it's just my lack of an understanding of how it works here. There are what looks like walkways, but then they kind of don't lead to other walkways and leave you in positions where it looks like there's no real way for you to cross. There are no lights for the pedestrians. Okay, that's kind of cool. Looks like a derelict something or other next door. So yeah, it's like a little bit of a Mensa test every time you get to one of them. So keeps me on my toes and maybe gives some of the motorists a little bit of a laugh. What a spot this would have been. Protected from the elements, polished concrete floor, and super clean. This would have been a dancer's delight. Everyone would have been practicing in this spot back in the UK. I imagine it's used for, I don't know, markets and food selling. But at the moment, temperature's nice. Could have been busting some mills on this floor. So it's a bit of a shame. It looks like the archaeological site behind me is completely boarded up. It looks really interesting. It looks old, so I'd say it looks turn of the century colonial in style. It looks very dilapidated and overgrown, and I wish I could have gone to explore it. But surrounding this area, it looks like we have an area ready for reconstruction, and what a shame it would be to tear down that terrace. It's absolutely beautiful, but it's looking in disrepair and it's boarded up. And if we look behind me, well, behind the big board is the big new mall and top tower. So I guess this area eventually will be swept through, regenerated, and something really sterile, dull and modern will be built, and all the history will be washed away. The time's about 9:30, the sun is waking up here for sure. I do need to find a little bit of shade. All the shops seem to be opening now. I reckon 9:30 is when the working day starts here. I'm heading back from the mall. It all seems pretty generic over that way, and the roads start to get much bigger, so I'm going to head back towards Georgetown. I'll be passing the hotel in a second. And I'm actually amazed that I'm comfortable walking down the street talking to a camera. I'm so self-conscious, and I mean, admittedly there aren't that many people around at the minute, but it's definitely something I've become more comfortable doing. And I think it's the realization that everyone's walking around taking photos and living inside of their mobile phones. It's the new microcosm that's replaced the macrocosm. And I think for me as well, it's kind of bearing in mind that people aren't paying attention to you. For me, I get so self-conscious that people will be looking and thinking, and it's why I talk quietly. I want to kind of hide away into my own little world and not impact other people. And I think I just need to bear in mind that you're invisible anyway in the modern world. Everyone's too busy. They're too busy to pay attention to what you're doing, and I guess this isn't a reason to misbehave, but perhaps a reminder to not be so self-conscious. This is what happens if you flush the toilet paper. I found a nice shaded street as I head back into central Georgetown. I can see the murals start to reappear, so I know I'm getting close. The traffic's busying up too. And it's got me thinking about these kind of tourist areas and how they all have a very, very similar feel. No matter where you go, be it Thailand, the UK, or anywhere that I've been on holiday really. And I think it's because it has a dual function. So you're drawn in with the promise of history and something culturally enlightening, let's say. But along with that comes the creation of a marketplace. And I think that is kind of their primary function, really. It's why there are the aggressive street sellers trying to sell you all manner of tat, overpriced meals and drinks, tours that perhaps take you to less than inspiring places or have been conjured up out of nowhere. I'm just going to head down this quiet street because it's really pretty. So yeah, it's a strange one because I'm glad that an area like Georgetown has been able to come up with some clever marketing. Street murals are very fashionable. They give you the Instagram and TikTok content that people want. And they're good, they're great to look at, but for me the architecture and I guess the colonial roots of this place are what interest me more. Now that isn't a particularly fashionable thing to say these days. We're not people who embrace our history if it paints us in a negative light. I'm a firm believer you have to take the rough with the smooth. We live on the dualistic plane where good and bad operate in concurrence. Without a knowledge of your history, you don't know your place in the world, and it helps you from making the same mistakes over and over again. But I am glad. I'm glad that places do continue to exist, because otherwise I don't think they would. I think unless you create something for the capitalists to latch onto and say, okay, this is your reason for being, you will be wiped away. And you can see that the areas that aren't so dissimilar to this, over towards the mall, they're going to go the way of the ghost in the not too distant future. The fruit sellers come out early and I am fruit in a bag man. I've learnt from Sarah, vitamin C, I think maybe she could use some. I think she's getting a little bit run down, and yeah, so the gift of a Satsuma, let's say. Some super technical organisation going on here.
Yes, and I love it. My spreadsheet is out. The colour coding is out.
You weren't ill, you just wanted to stay and do some spreadsheets.
So there's a little bit of logistics going on right now because we're in Penang now. We've got 3 nights in Batu. Then we're going to Langkawi. We're trying to work out how long we stay in Kuala Lumpur, because I do need to be in Singapore from the 11th and the 12th. So do we go earlier? Do we go to somewhere else? And I've just got confirmed that we are going to Brunei for a few days. I'm going to do some workshops there. So that's really, really exciting. But he needs to know where I'm going to be, what day, so he can organise my flight, and then where we're going afterwards, which is great. But my internet is not so good. So when I'm doing research and flights, it's slowing me down. But yeah, love a spreadsheet.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Ashhadu anna sayyidana wa nabiyyana Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluhu ad-da'i.
Yeah. So this came out of nowhere. We've been in two minds all day about whether we should jump in a taxi and head to Penang Hill. I don't know how long this is going to last, but I think we made the right decision by holding out of the hotel and looking to go to Top Tower. But yeah, this is crazy, crazy rain. So that could have been embarrassing. I jumped off on the 5th floor and have been knocking on room number 522. Phoned Sarah and was like, yeah, why don't you let me in?
Tim? Tim has just called me saying, can you let me into the room? I've walked out and he's not here. I bet he's gone to the wrong floor. You're knocking on a different door. Did you go to the wrong floor?
I did, and then they're doing something with the lift, so I then had to find the staircase.
Where were you knocking?
522.
I knew you were.